I want to welcome everybody to this extreme home makeover. It's good to see everybody here today. My name is Adam Ortiz. I'm the acting director of your Department of Environmental Resources, and it's really exciting for me to see so many familiar faces and people that we've spoken to in recent months about property standards, code enforcement. One of the least glamorous but most important functions that we perform is your government. So, hello, good to see you. Good to see you, boss lady. I know you. All right, so if you're feeling good, say real good.
Real good.
Feeling all right, say all right.
All right.
Real good?
Real good.
All right?
All right.
All right. We're going to get going a little bit, but by way of introduction, we're here today because there's been several problems and concerns about property standards in our county that have too long gone unaddressed. In January of this past year, the Washington Post ran a story on the front page of the Metro section saying that property values in Prince George's County were highly distressed, that overall as a county we're underwater, that our homes are worth less than what we owe. And they went on to describe the glut of vacant and abandoned houses and blighted houses throughout Prince George's County, and that each of them drags down the values and the dignity of every neighborhood in which they sit. Studies show that a vacant, abandoned, and blighted house will drag down the property values of neighboring homes anywhere from $5,000 to $17,000. And as we also know, Prince George's County was hit really hard during the foreclosure crisis. We were targeted by predatory lending, and now, many years later, the vacant and abandoned homes that exist have fallen into disrepair, like this one here today. So our task is big ahead of us, but we think we're equal to meet it. So we're introducing this new plan today that we'll go over in some detail. Some of you I see in the audience, you'll see your ideas in here. We met with about 30 different homeowners and civic associations in recent months. We've talked to more than 1,000 residents in different contexts. We've talked to council members, we've talked to delegates, we've talked to stakeholders, we've talked to staff, and we wanted to get the best ideas we possibly could, to get your ideas and put them into this plan and into this new way of going forward to give you all the services that you pay for and deserve. Because nothing is more important than property standards. This is the quality of life of what we see every day when we leave our home. Whether we're going to school or to the grocery store or to work, we drive through these neighborhoods, we see them every day. And how they look is a reflection of ourselves. And we all deserve the very best. So the first person I'd like to bring up is the woman whose turf we're sitting in. Andrea Harrison has served as chair in her second go as chair of the Prince George's County Council. We're here in her District 5, and we're really, really pleased to partner with her and work with her as we go forward for the new DER and our new property standards. So, Madam Chair, please come up.
I have a budget that needs to be passed, so I'm helping you.
Good answer, good answer. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good. Even though we're still waiting on the 80-degree weather, it is still a beautiful day nonetheless. I want to thank you all for being here. I'm really excited about the crowd, the number of people who are here this morning. It really says a lot. We appreciate everything that is going on. The county executive last year came up with his Transforming Neighborhoods initiative. And Kentland and Palmer Park, Columbia Park, fall in one of the TNI areas. And so today we're here to just showcase some of the work that goes on and is happening within the TNI areas. Now, we're just doing this one house today, but be assured, Ms. Brigham, Ms. Bullock, and all of my folks from Columbia Park, that your house is coming down too. The one that you have been trying to get rid of for 20 years, 25, as Ms. Brigham says, be assured that it is going to happen. Now, we've got, and I'm sure that Adam is going to talk about the new 25-point action plan that is occurring under what will be Can I say that? Where is he? The Department of Permits, Inspections, and Enforcement. Can I say that? Okay. So on the new DPI, there's going to be a new 25-point action plan to help eradicate some of these issues that have been plaguing our communities for so many years. However, some things are still under the old plan based on what our Office of Law has told us. So we may have to be just a little bit more patient for just a little bit more time. But I guarantee you, if I have to steal one of these things right here, drive it myself, and get to Columbia Park, I'm going to knock that house down for you. And I'm going to go to jail if I have to, but it's coming down. But anyway, I'm just really excited to be here. I'm so happy that things are happening in our community. You know, I've been in this office, working in this office since 2002. I've been elected since 2008. And the one thing that I hear all the time is that our community is always forgotten. And we hear that, I hear that so much from the residents here in Kentland, Columbia Park, Greater Landover, basically, that our communities inside the Beltway are always forgotten. Well, I think that this shows that this community is not forgotten. Right. And so this is just the beginning. We look forward to each and every one of you continuing to work with us. Make sure that you let us know when you see something that you don't like. We have the 311 and county click system. I want you all to use that, but always feel free to call me anytime. If you're not getting the results that you need, you make sure you call me, because that's the only way we're going to be able to get things done. So with that, I am going to sit back down, hope that it doesn't rain, and we're going to try and get this going so that we can all look at the little hand grabber thing. What do you call this thing? It's a bulldozer. It's a bulldozer. Looks like a hand to me. Excavator. All right. It's a house knocker downer. How about that? All right, thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A man who needs no introduction, the person who put us on this course, our County Executive, Rashawn Baker.
You know, that's why Adam is doing such a good job. He knew that it's raining, and he needs to speed this program forward. But I do want to give Adam and his team a round of applause. Can we give him another round of applause? You know, I certainly want to thank, and I think Gary Cunningham is going to come over here and talk in a minute, but can we give Gary, the Deputy Director over at DER, a round of applause for all the work he's doing? You know, I am so fortunate the Chair mentioned everything that I was going to talk about, and while we're at it, just a marvelous Chair, and in her second year as being Chair, and has really led some great things in this county. Can we give her another round of applause? As she said, we are in our Transforming Neighborhoods area. This is led by our very own Carla Reed, who's Deputy CAO for Economic Development Infrastructure. So I want to thank her. I want to thank Kentland and Palmer Park and everybody in this area. I sat in the T&I meeting yesterday, and one of the things that I'm trying to do is sneak in on these Transforming Neighborhoods meetings that we're having throughout the county, really so I can catch people and see if they're actually doing what we asked them to do. And I have to tell you, I was not only pleasantly surprised, but pleased. Pleased that everybody around the table got what T&I is about. We call it Transforming Neighborhoods, but really what it is, it's treating areas the same way you would treat it if you lived there, if your mother lived there, if your wife lived there, if people you care about live in these neighborhoods. That's what this is about today. This is saying this has been here too long. How do we make sure it happens quick? Because if it was in our neighborhood, in our house, we would do that. A sense of urgency. That's what we want into delivering quality service, and that's what's going to happen today. So the 25-point plan that they're going to talk about is really about how do we make sure things like this happen, so that place that's been up there for how many years? 25 years. That we tear it down, that we get rid of it, that we do something in these neighborhoods. That is the commitment of this administration. And so I am pleased to be here today. I'm glad so many people are out here, but more importantly, I'm glad that we're doing something about blight in neighborhoods and responding. Thank you.
I want to acknowledge one of our associate directors in the Department of Environmental Resources, our Animal Control Chief, Rodney Taylor, who's been notified about the barking dog. So thank you in advance, Rodney. All right, is the dog bothering you? Are we cool with the dog? Let the dog enjoy the beautiful day. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Rodney. Now, so several of you have heard a lot of our ideas. The 25-point plan is 25 points. We strongly felt that to really get things on track, you can't do one thing or two things or five things. You have to do, in this case, 25 things from top to bottom to really get this operation to where it needs to be. To the culture in the organization, to the top management, and to the frontline folks who are out there in the field doing the inspections. So we're going to take you through those 25 points. I know that you're interested, but it's also a reflection of how much care and diligence that we've tried to do in listening to you and incorporating your ideas to give you the services that you deserve. So I'm really pleased to invite Gary Cunningham, our Deputy Director, who's headed up this effort before I got to the agency in November, and he's going to carry it forward after July 1st in the new agency. Thank you, Gary.
Good morning, everyone. For those of you who do not know me, for 25 years, 8 months, and 27 days, I was with the Prince George's County Police Department. And very early in my career, I had the opportunity to work in the community policing program. Community policing is a partnership between the community, the government, and law enforcement to address issues. A lot of those issues, and most of those issues, were quality of life issues. A lot of those issues that you can clearly see by looking at this house that may lead to crime at some point. People don't always understand how a quality of life issue can lead to crime. If you look at a house like this, it's a glaring example of how having a boarded up property where people can have access to it, they can go inside, they can do a lot of bad things, illegal things, crime, drugs, prostitution, all those different things that you can do within a property like this. So when I retired from the police department, they were looking for a deputy director to go over to DER and look at the property standards division and help reorganize it and change some things. I raised my hand because I do believe that there is a connection between the quality of life and crime in the community. And working community policing in Laurel, we were able to reduce crime by about 60%. And I've had conversations with the county executive, and I talked to him about that program, and then he comes up with the T&I initiative. It's like the community policing program on steroids. And they've really gotten it, and we're glad to be a part of that. So I'll go over our 25-point action plan. One of the first things we want to do is we've heard a lot of complaints, and one of the things that I do is I go around to a lot of community meetings because I want to hear the complaints firsthand. I don't want them filtered through my managers and my supervisors. I want to know exactly what the issues are so we can go back and address them. So one of the issues that we've heard about over and over again is a customer-focused, compliance-quick approach. We do a decent job at getting out to the initial complaint, but it's the time that it takes and the customer service that follows in dealing with that complaint that's somewhat lacking. So we are in the process of training our employees to deal with a lot of those issues in a different way. We're also looking at one of the biggest things is a 30-day demolition notice for unsafe structures. At one time, it was the position of the Office of Law that everything went through the court system. But we've had a change in the Office of Law, and Tom Mitchell, one of our attorneys over there, you can raise your hand, Tom, has been very instrumental in helping us move properties like this one to demolition, where it's set for, I believe since 2008, it's been empty, and a problem for the community. The police department comes out, they board it up. We come back, the police department comes out, chases out the vagrants. DER comes out, and we board it up. And it's a revolving door of us coming back out providing services to the same property over and over again. But now we're using a process where we give 30-day notice in the newspaper of record. And a lot of times we can, after that 30-day notice is given, we can start our demolition process. Obviously, there are people do have rights to their property, and they are entitled to a court hearing. And if they ask for that, we have to give them that. But in some cases, we can move properties from the date that we get notice to demolition within 60 days. So we're doing that. We're also looking at civil citations. When I got to the agency, one of the things we did was a best practices report. We went around to different agencies, Baltimore City, Howard County, D.C., Montgomery County, and we said, why aren't they having the problems that we have? And a lot of these points have come as a result of that best practices report. And one of the things we found is that they use civil citations. They found that if they use civil citations and let people know that there's a $50 or $100 fine associated with that violation, it gets their attention. So we've started a practice of using civil citations. So when we issue the violation notice, people will know that if you don't get this corrected within 30 days, you can get a $100 fine for it. So we're letting them know exactly what the issues are. We're also looking at adjusting the fines and fees within the agency. Some of them have not been adjusted 20, 30 years. And what we find is that the service that we're providing is costing the county more than it does for the individual that commits the violation. So we're looking at full cost recoveries in our fees. If we pay a contractor to come out and cut the grass, that's not the only cost. The cost is also administrative cost, the time that we spend inspecting it, things of that nature. So we're looking at adjusting our fees to get full coverage as it relates to those. We're also looking at increased padlocking for illegally operating businesses. Right now, DER partners with the police department and other county agencies to do what's called the joint agency group, where we go out and we go to nightclubs and we look at other venues. And if there's a public safety related issue, we can close those places immediately. We can shut them down. But if it's another issue where they're operating outside of their use and occupancy permit, but it's not a public safety issue, we have not been able to padlock them immediately. We have to take them through the court process, and sometimes it takes years. There's one that we're dealing with in Beltsville that we've been dealing with for at least 5 or 6 years. So we're looking at a more expedited process and shutting down illegal businesses that are operating outside of the use and occupancy permits. Baltimore City also uses an administrative hearing board. That's where they have an administrative judge or a retired judge come in and hear housing code violation cases. We're looking at doing that, and I believe legislation is being drafted to take a look at what it would cost to start that up and what legislation would be required to move that process forward. And by doing something like that, it's our hope that we'll be able to get these cases, the ones that do decide to go to court, through the system within a shorter period of time. Right now, we get cases in the court 60, 90 to 120 days later. By using a process like this, Baltimore City gets their cases through their administrative hearing board within 30 days. So that will speed up our process there. Some of the other things that, again, coming from the police department, I thought was pretty simple. Things like establishing policies and procedure manuals for all of our employees. We didn't have that when I got to the agency. Some of them had not been updated since 1985. So one of the things that we did was looked at current codes, because laws have changed over and over since then, and we've established a policy and procedure manual for all of the inspectors. It's currently being reviewed by the Office of Law. Every inspector will have a policy and procedure manual. It sounds simple, but if you want consistent enforcement, everybody has to know exactly what's expected of them, and that's one of the things that we're doing there. We've also established a training unit within the division. We have somebody that's specifically designated to look at all the issues that we're having in the agency and determine what training needs to be done. We've also had money put in our budget to have all of our inspectors receive national certification for property standards inspectors. That had not happened in the past. So we're putting our money where our mouth is as it comes to that. We're also looking at cross-training units. Right now we have residential code enforcement, we have commercial code enforcement, and we have multifamily code enforcement. So one of the things that we're doing, if we get certified programs to come in and teach our inspectors, cross-train those inspectors, that way it's a force multiplier. We'll be able to get more people in more areas within the county, and we'll be able to move things a lot faster that way. As a result of our establishment of our special operations section, houses like this will come down a lot quicker. We've got an inspector, Joe Jones. Where are you? Joe Jones is what we call Demolition Man. He's our guy that when we have cases like this, we give it to Joe. Joe goes out, he does a survey of the property. He determines whether or not this property needs to be torn down or rehab. And then that's when we start our process. We send the owner a violation notice telling them to rehab it or tear it down. And Joe is our guy that monitors that process. And we've established a special operations section with Joe. And for those tough cases that seem to get to a certain point, they get stuck. We've got a lot of those. So we're going through the file cabinets now to find them. So if you have some, please make us aware of them. But a lot of those cases, we found that it got beyond the inspector's level of expertise, and it just didn't go anywhere. So now we've got a special operations section that's paying attention to those cases and moving them forward. One of the other things that we've done is establish an MOU with the Department of Corrections. They've got people that are required to do community service in Prince George's County. So we're using them to do some of the things that we need done within the county that won't cost us money. Some of those areas that you brought to our attention, we're asking those folks to do that. We're better utilizing the beat system. Right now, the police department has police officers assigned to every area in the county. And what they do, they're responsible for calls for service, but they're also responsible to go out and address those things on a proactive level. They're assigned to go out and patrol, to look at things, and to bring them to our attention before they become problems. We're doing the same thing within the Department of Environmental Resources now. We're also looking at adjusting shifts to cover weekends and off hours. Contractually, our inspectors work 7:30 to 4, so that's by contract. We were able to hire some a couple of years ago. They work Tuesday through Saturday, but we're looking at adjusting more schedules so we have coverage on the weekends. We have violations that occur, and in the evenings, because we do have things that happen in the evenings and don't always happen between 9 and 5. We do partner with the towns and municipalities. Our training section, whenever we do training for our inspectors, we make sure we invite the municipal agencies in and then code enforcement officers, because we want to make sure that it's consistent throughout the county what we expect from the standards of properties by our residents. So we do partner with them. We've also established a management training program that has not been had within DER, and it's everything from how to supervise subordinates, how to write their evaluation, how to counsel them when their performance is not up to par, and that way we get a better product from our supervisors as we go through. We've also established, one of the things I did, again, coming from the police department, we had county stat, where we came in once a week. All of the different district commanders, all the different units came into a meeting, and we talked about our different issues. It was a management accountability meeting. You hold your managers accountable for what they're supposed to do. When I got to DER, I started doing that. I met with my property standards associate director, Carol Bacaglia. Where are you? She's around here somewhere. There she is. And Carol has done a fantastic job. Carol got to the Property Standards Division about 2 weeks before I did, and so she's been a very integral part of helping get this division up to where it is. Carol has been with the agency for 30 years. She worked in property standards a long time ago, and then she came back and she brought all that knowledge with her, and a lot of things that she did 30 years ago are very appropriate today. And when it comes to accountability and management, Carol gets it. She understands when things don't get done that the supervisors and the subordinates have to be held accountable, and we do that. One of the other things that you'll see is that we try to get the right people in the right places. Since I got there, they replaced the deputy director with me. They replaced the associate director with Carol. We replaced the assistant associate director, moved somebody else in there, Lee Reed. I think she's at Randy somewhere. She's the acting assistant associate director. And then we shook up our units, and we transferred people to different areas within the division to make sure that everybody gets it. We want to make sure they understand this is a new management philosophy. We expect people to do what they need to do, and we want to make sure we have the right people in the right places. So we've done that throughout the entire division. The other thing that we're looking at is the staff. The county had a salary survey done several years ago, and we found that our inspectors have not kept up to pace with neighboring jurisdictions doing the same job. So as a result of that, you can imagine they come here, they use DER in Prince George's County as a training ground, and then they go to other jurisdictions that pay more. So one of the things that we've asked for and have been placed into the budget is an increase in salary for our inspectors. But we don't want to just give it to them. I'm not one of those people that just like to give things to people without them earning it. So one of the things that we did is we tied this to training. So what we're going to require is that the inspectors go through the certification course for the property standards and property maintenance, and they complete the course, then they'll get the wage adjustment. It's not just going to be given to them. In addition to that, we're going to incentivize certifications. So once they go through the course, they'll get the pay bump, but additionally, if they maintain the certification, then they'll get an additional certification pay. We did that in the police department. It's very effective, and I think it's the right thing to do with our inspectors if we want quality inspections within Prince George's County. The last piece that is the biggest headache for me, and it's probably caused me to lose all of my hair, is the technology. One of the things that I think we do a good job when the initial complaint comes in, the inspector gets it, he goes out, he does his initial inspection, and then he files it with his other inspections. Then he goes out the next day and he does 10 more inspections. He goes out the next day and he may do 20 inspections. So at the end of the month, he's got a problem keeping track of everything that was inspected last month that needs to be re-inspected and everything that needs to go forward. So the biggest thing that we need to address in the Property Standards Division is the technology. We have a computerized housing inspection program that has been there since the late 80s, early 90s. It's in its third revision. It's a mainframe system, and it doesn't do now what it was designed to do then. So as you can imagine, as we go forward, we're asking it to do a lot more, and it's just not happening. So what we've done, we've recently signed a contract with a company. They're going to be coming in, and they do records management and code enforcement in other jurisdictions, and it's going to set us to where we need to be in Prince George's County. It will take us from the date the inspection comes in to the re-inspect date to the date that needs to go to court. It will help the inspectors prepare court cases. It will do all those things that we needed to do as far as the beat management piece. Digitizing our use and occupancy permits, we'll be able to put a lot of that stuff within this records management system. And we're also experimenting right now with mobile devices. My vision, obviously, is contingent upon budgetary constraints, would be that the inspector goes out. He doesn't even need to know where he is. He drives down the street. He sees a place. He stops. His mobile device tells him exactly where he is. He can go into that mobile device. He can fill out a violation notice. He can print it. He can put it on the door. That's my vision. We're not quite there yet, but we're working on it. Having this technology will get us to where we need to be. Thank you very much, and I guess I'll turn it over to Adam. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Big round of applause for Gary and his efforts. I wanted to recognize some of our elected officials. We're fortunate to have with us Delegate Aisha Braveboy with us here today, who is here in spirit. Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Okay. She had to run. Delegate Alonzo Washington from my district, District 22. Good to see you, Alonzo. My friend, Mayor Keto James. Good to see you, Keto. Anna Angolia, Commissioner from Cottage City. Emeritus. Good to see you as well. And, Councilwoman Mary Lehman. Good to see you. Great to see you. There are two stars of our... Any elected officials I missed? Oh, hello again, Bridget. How are you? Didn't see you. Yes. Great to see you. Okay, thank you. There are two stars to our show today who are really the heroes that I want to take a moment to recognize. I'd like to recognize Melissa Foster, who lives next door at this house right here. Melissa. And Miss Florine Campbell, who lives in this house right next door. So thank you for your patience with us. But we're here. We got you. We got you now.
After 25 years, I really appreciate it.
Thank you. So Mary asked for this to be an interview format. So Mary, how are you feeling about the county's efforts to address blight in our communities?
At this moment, I am excited. I mean, really excited. Because if they got up this street, they're coming down to mine. It's the only way I can put it.
Do you have any reflections on the Transforming Neighborhoods Initiative and how it's had impact on the community?
I personally think it will work very well, but the only thing I'm asking is it continue. Please don't stop here. There's too many neighborhoods besides just right here that need this program. And then maybe people like in Columbia Park or Kentland is not waiting 25 to 30 years to get something done, and their neighbors got to deal with it. And we also have people living in a few homes homes looking mighty bad. And when we did a tour a couple months ago, I pointed out a house because I couldn't believe people lived in it, but they do. And so that's the only thing is I hope even when the house is tore down, do something right away with the property. Once it's clean, then I'm asking, I guess, for everybody here, just take this property and get it built right back up. Because it's not going to do us no good with an empty property and then there's bottles and trash all over again. And this is what we need to clean up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Wonderful. Thank you, Mary. One of the things that we're looking at doing is letting the next door neighbors bid on the property or split the property and share the property so it's maintained, it goes into ownership, and then their property value goes up as well. So that's one of the new ideas that we're looking at. I'm just looking out in the crowd, and I have to thank so many great people. I have to thank Marty for your input. I have to thank Brenda for your input. Pat, thank you so much. Chris Bullock, you saw some of your ideas in here. Good to see you. Gloria and Gloria, both from South County. Great to see you. Doug and Freddie, thanks for yelling at us about property standards to help us get on our game a little bit sooner. There's just so many people, Miss Rose. I really think, I can't name everybody, although I'm trying to, but I just wanted to thank all of you for having skin in the game and helping us out. Miss White, thank you. So we really appreciate your input. This is about you. It's not about us. As Chair mentioned, on July 1st, we're going to be creating a new agency, the Department of Permits, Inspections, and Enforcement, or DPI. And Property Standards is going to go under that new agency, and it's going to leave DER. But Mr. Cunningham, Ms. Bracaglia, and I really felt that on day one we wanted to succeed. So we wanted to get this effort going right away so it's ready to go on July 1st. And there's a number of our staff who are going to be going over to that new agency that I really want to acknowledge. You see this beautiful document in your hands. It was designed by Cindy Manuel, our graphic designer here in the agency. Cindy, thank you so much. Really appreciate what you've done. I also want to thank Tom Mitchell, who's been advising us and helping us get legislation and things through court so we can get buildings like this down. So thank you, Tom, so much. Our main man, demolition man, Joe Jones, I cannot thank you much for everything that you've done to get us on track. Lee Reed, fantastic work. Carol Bracaglia, she's taken a lot of punches in a very tough job. But we thank you so much, Carol, for standing your ground and helping us get to where we need to be. Thank you so much. I also want to thank our waste management staff. We have a lot of folks. I know there's a bunch of you raise your hand for getting us set up today. Thank you. We really appreciate you. We also have property standards staff. I know that they were around the corner. Please raise your hands, and the rest of the director's office or other agencies that are here, please raise your hands and be recognized. We thank you, and we appreciate you tremendously. So the dog was barking, and Rodney, our animal control chief, had been texting back and forth because he's a specialist in animal behavior. And I asked him, so what was the dog? What's this dog's beef? You know, we're working on cleaning up the neighborhood here, and all this dog is just yapping away, yelling at us. I'm like, come on, man, cut us some slack. We got this plan. We're getting all this stuff done. So Rodney said, he's upset because you're talking too much, and he wants to see the house come down. So we're going to move to that point in our agenda. By way of introduction, this structure that you see behind you has been vacant for, we estimate, about 4.5 years. It's been on and off a problem property for about 25 years, we can share those stories another time. It's been in very serious disrepair in this condition, we estimate, for about 2.5 years. I think that's right, Joe. Today will be the final chapter in its life. As you see this chart in front of you, we've amped up, increased our demolitions from between 5 and about 12 a year to just since July of this past year, we've conducted 46 demolitions of structures. So we're amping up our game and getting these out of our community. And we also have a lot in the queue. Joe, how many do we have in the queue? 38. 38 in the queue. So,
One of them is Columbia Park.
Columbia Park in Duluth, 2101, Columbia. We're on it. So without further ado, I'd like to ask Joe to come up and describe what's going to happen next. We don't want people to be too close to the house for obvious reasons, so he's going to describe how we're going to be able to watch some cool stuff happen, stay safe at the same time. And as he's coming up, I also want to recognize Jim Shellman from Sustainable Community Initiatives. He's been a pioneer in salvage of distressed and homes coming down. And right now we're working on a policy to be able to work with reclamation and salvage organizations so they can go into the homes, take out items of value, doors, moldings, hardware, and then be able to resell it in places like Community Forklift. So good to see you, Jim. Thank you for being here. Show is yours, Joe.
All right. Good morning. What I'd like to do is have everybody get back in the far corner. We're going to remove all the chairs, the podium. We're going to have the machine come up. The machine's going to actually take probably 2 or 3 grabs into the house. Then I'm going to stop him. Mr. Baker, we're going to give you a chance to sit in the machine, have a picture taken. Mr. Ortiz, you also, and Congress, if you, Council Lady, Indra. Okay, that's fine. And then once we do that, I'm going to stop the demolition process. We're going to file out this side of the house, across in the front, back out to the street, and we can watch it from that angle there or an angle over here. But I don't want anybody to be back here once that machine starts and gets going good. Okay? All right, so if we'll go ahead and move back there, we'll have the chairs and all picked up, and then we can go.
You want to get up there? Uh-huh. I'm going to help you get up there. You need some help? There you go.
Styling and profiling.
As long as I don't turn this sucker on, y'all.
You're about to make evidence. Style and profiling. You just pretend like you work in the right.
Where's Mary? Y'all need to come stand here. Where's
Mary? Style and profiling. Miss Lang?
Mary?
Come on, Mary. Mary,
Miss Campbell, Miss
Mary, can you stop talking? Get over here.
come on, styling and profiling. That's right.
Stand here.
Miss Foster.
Where's Mike? Okay.
Miss Brigham.
No, you get those neighbors in.
Yes.
I'm just going to hold the door right here.
And I want you to know, Pearl is so happy she got backup. She said Zeta's in the house. Mike's going to give us directions. There we go.
Jerry Cunningham.
Where is Jerry?
Carol.
Second string, yeah.
You did a great job. Would y'all be surprised by
We're all looking this way for me, please. On 3 here. 1, 2, and 3.
3.
I got you. We're going on 3 here. 1, 2, and 3. Everyone got it?
Everybody got it? Is that because I'm going to start this
Thank
up.
you guys very much.
You better. Where's the key?
You say that we didn't want you to answer.
Good job, ladies. Great job. Great job.
Next time we just really call each other really successful people, like always back and forth. I don't think that.